What is good, defenders? Welcome to your favorite pre-match segment here on Defenders of the Bank. If it's the night before a match, then you know what time it is. It's time for one more sleep. This one, the 30th regular season match of 2025. And here we go all the way to St. Louis to take on St. Louis City. You know my voice. It's the Scarf. J.R. Liebert coming to you live from Lawndale and coming to you from across the interwebs from world-famous Philomonster Studios. One Christian Philly Philemon.
Hello, defenders. Hello, lovers of the black and gold and fans of Major League Soccer. And an extra special shout-out. Michael West joining us for the first time. Welcome. Want to give a shout-out to the millions
and millions
of Defenders of the Bank listeners. Another edition of One More Sleep. This is the Country Grammar edition as we head into the land of Nelly to take on St. Louis SC. St. Louis SC, defenders, one of those teams that were a fresh new franchise or fresh new club in MLS that took the league by storm, won the West, and completely fizzled since. A team that's been in an awful lot of turmoil. I'm not going to bury the lead as of yet. Plenty to talk about, but we're going to go to the loo, and we're going to be proud because we are going to smack them around and teach them our own variation of some country grammar.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup for sure. A team actually trending in the right direction in St. Louis City SC. By the way, way too many things. You're either St. Louis SC or you're St. Louis City, or just can we pick something out of all that mess that you guys picked there? I will say this about St. Louis City. For every regular season home match, they actually sell a patch that comes together at the end of the season to form like something cool. They've done it the last couple of seasons. It's a pretty cool thing that St. Louis City does.
Speaking of patches, you remember these?
I remember those.
Just these.
Yeah.
These were a cool idea for the away days. Back, what year was this even? 2023.
Yeah. That was
more of these than I thought I did.
All right.
Look at that. Champions League.
Yeah. Philly, focus. Also, Philly, I don't know if your mic is on or if you're just getting it through the computer. Double check.
Yes. Cheers. I'll be right back.
MLS regular season match number 30 for LAFC on the season. Match number 32 for St. Louis City. And, of course, LAFC hitting that 50-point mark finally this season on a 3-match win streak, of course. And LAFC looking to take all 12 points from a 15-day, 4-city gauntlet. It has been absolutely incredible, this run that LAFC has been on, of course, culminating with this match against St. Louis tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. from Energizer Park in St. Louis. I mentioned St. Louis, Philly, trending in the right direction because for most of the season, they've been god-awful. They're just 13th in the West, but they are now 7 points ahead of Carson. But they've won their last 2. Granted, not against good competition, beating Montreal and San Jose, but they've only allowed 2 goals in their last 3 matches, and they're just playing a little better than they have for most of the season. So potentially, Philly, a team in the right direction there at home, but they are running into quite the juggernaut in the black and gold.
So typically when we have technological problems, the problem seems to persist between the chair and the keyboard. How's the mic sounding right now?
That much better, sir.
Should I give you a little bit of Whitney Houston and I Will Always Love You with the high notes just to make sure?
I think we're good.
Okay, fine. That's fair. You're right. They are completely trending in the right direction. Not only have they won in the last 2 games, it's been on the road. Look, they've had a season full of turmoil. They fired their manager, Olaf Melberg, back in May after only a few months. Then they appoint David Critchley, who was working with the academy. Melberg was there for a cup of coffee, but he replaced Bradley Carnell, who was off to another poor start. This is a team that's had a tremendous amount of trouble since that inaugural season. But to your point, yes, trending in a better direction. Let's face facts. They are unlucky number 7 with wins, 7 draws, and 17 losses. A team that's gotten a bit pulverized, but feeling a little better about themselves, undefeated in their last 3, and probably feeling pretty comfortable because, again, having beaten San Jose on the road, having beaten Montreal on the road, they actually haven't won a home game over the last 5. And for LAFC, Scarf, you got to think something is amiss. And what I mean by that is the following. We haven't lost a game since July 25th, a game against Portland. Now, no away losses since the loss against Houston on April the 5th. Take the FIFA Club World Cup out of the equation, and we've actually been quite good. How did we have all this angst? Where was all this animosity? We've only lost 24% of our games this season. 48% on the win side, 27% on the draw side. And another thing really quickly to put into context, because I'm talking a bit too much. The year we went back to the finals in 2023, over the course of 34 games, we won 14 of them, drew 10, and lost 10. Well, guess what? In 29 games, we've also won 14 games, drawn 8, and then lost 7. This is a much better LAFC team than I think any of us have anticipated. So I'm still kind of wondering why we were all so angry towards each other. And honestly, why were we all so dolo out when we've actually been pretty damn good?
Philly, I'll tell you exactly why. First, I want to quote Coog in our chat. Son Heung-min really does tie the pitch together, does he not? He is like the rug in Lebowski for sure. But in bringing in Sonny, we now feel like a club that should have championship aspirations. I'm sorry, but no matter the success that we had before, Philly, let's not forget the eye test. I don't think there was anything other than Denis Bouanga and the play of Hugo Lloris that was championship caliber as far as before Sonny came aboard. And oh, by the way, it's not just Sonny. We talked about Andy Morin. We talked about Ryan Porteous. We talked about Matthew Chonier. We talked about the jettisoning of Olivier Giroud and the weight that lifted off the shoulders of the entire offense. And I'm telling you, this club has hit all the right buttons at all the right times. We now look more dangerous offensively. And again, unfortunately, I go back to the injury of Igor Jesus. Igor just wasn't an offensive threat. He never was, not once, and teams sagged off him like Russell Westbrook behind the three-point line, daring him to do something. And so I think with this club, with the amount of offense that we have out on the pitch at all times now you got to worry. I did hear the same thing, Bam. I'll let Philly, you respond to Bam's comment in just a moment. But LAFC is also, again, never lost to this club, 3-0-2. You mentioned us not having lost on the road since that Houston match in April. You mentioned us not having lost a match now in our last several. We're undefeated in a bunch. This is a club that is definitely hitting stride at the right time. But yes, as Coog does mention, I want to talk about, obviously, De La Valle, Aaron Long, and Igor Jesus not playing. And in this one, Timothy Tillman out on yellow card accumulation and Denis Bouanga on yellow card accumulation watch. So if he gets one, he's out for the next game.
You talk about the offense, just something to put into perspective. Sonny has played in 7 games this season. He's already our second leading scorer with 6 goals. What does that tell you? After him, it's Nathan Ordaz with 5. There really was no offense other than Denis, and that's what we harped on all season long. But for him to accumulate 6 goals in 7 matches, all the goal contributions he's had, and like you said, completely opened things up in transition. LAFC's a deadly team, and whatever show that you watch, whether it be morning footy, whether it be the Cooligans, whatever show it is that you're watching that focuses on MLS, everybody has been saying the same thing. The juggernaut in Major League Soccer, as of right now, is LAFC. You could argue that, well, what about Miami? And I come back and say, what about them? If anything, This is the Sergio Busquets farewell tour because he made the announcement he's done at the end of the season. Messi will carry on because the Golden Goose needs to come in when Inter Fort Lauderdale does, in fact, finally move to Miami. But the team to beat right now, the team on everybody's radar, the team everybody should be pooping their pants when they see on their schedule is LAFC.
Yeah, look, you're absolutely right. Philly, talking about our lineup for just a real quick second, who we think we're going to start in this one, right? We think it'll be some version
you haven't talked about my cup, by the way. I've been holding this up purposely. I've been drinking from it, and now I'm empty. Thank you. Thank you.
Would you like to talk about your cup?
No, not anymore. I'm empty.
All right. Look, 5 in the back, I think, is what we think we're going to be doing, right? With Eddie Segura playing that hybrid role.
Party.
And I think 2 in the midfield with Timothy Tillman out. I think we'll play a 5-2-3 in this one with Frankie Amaya and Marky Delgado, or maybe Marky Delgado and Matthew Chonier, with Frankie Amaya being the first to come off the bench. And then obviously the 3 up top, David Martinez will start alongside the boys, Sonny and Denis, because David Martinez is healthy. David Martinez has been playing better. Nathan Ordaz still coming back. I do like the idea. Henry Masters throwing it out there. Philly, and we'll talk about this more on our episode in a couple of days, you translated for Belutza at this last press conference, Philly speaking Romanian as well as Belutza. I think we'll definitely see some time for Belutza in this one, and then with the upcoming international break, expect to get to know Alexander Belutza a little bit.
Yeah, if you've seen the most recent LAFC photos, the kid's 5'5", and he's ripped. He's made out of stone. The position he plays, he's pretty versatile. Been playing a forward. There's no way he's going to play forward, or definitely started forward. But he has operated as a midfielder, mainly on the right side throughout his career at FCSB, starting out at Craiova in Romania and obviously playing in Hungary. The guy's won some trophies in his time, 8 caps with the Romanian national team. And you said it. I did get to translate for him at the last press conference, but I didn't really, because the guy's English is fantastic. I got to ask a question in Romanian at the very end. If you happen to come across that, it's quite funny. And in the beginning of the press conference, you won't hear it. Max Bredos is heard saying, Philly allegedly speaks Romanian. And I called him out on it. It was kind of funny. Got everybody laughing. No, you're right. Belutza does not need a translator, but I think he's going to be brought in more as a reserve role, a super sub. But what I can tell you is he's really excited to be here. He wasted no time in saying yes to his agent and signing his contract. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing Belutza in the midfield operating on that right side.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Look, I want to mention a couple players that Philly and I are not going to talk about when it comes to our players to watch real quick from
Lorenzo Della Valle.
No, I don't. He's probably not going to play maybe ever for LAFC at this point. Goalkeeper Roman Berkey, who needs no introduction for his international exploits. He missed 9 matches through May with a broken hand. He has not been good since he's come back, but since his return, just the 1 clean sheet, but in his last 3 matches, he is 2-0-1, and we unfortunately might be catching Roman Berkey at a time where he is finally starting to get healthy. And the other player I want to mention who also missed a ton of matches this season was Edward Leuven. He missed 14 matches early in the season, but in his last 8 matches since he's come back, 3 goals, 2 assists in his last 8 matches. These are guys, of course, if you've been following LAFC and been watching St. Louis City since they started a few years ago, Roman Berkey and Edward Leuven have been staples up and down their 11 year in and year out. So with that, Philly, shall we get to the players to watch?
I suppose.
All right, let's do it. I have got no duh in Sonny. Look, we know that Sonny, Denis Bouanga, potentially David Martinez, and Nathan Ordaz all may be missing some time coming up in this ridiculously timed international break. Don Garber, you're an idiot for how this is all playing out with how we're having an international break like right before playoffs. And we are going to be missing, everybody up top. Denis, Sonny, David Martinez, and Ordaz. It is unbelievable. So I think we got to get all we can from Denis and Sonny, and certainly I'll take Sonny. You mentioned it, Philly, our second leading scorer, a hat trick a couple games ago, just totally changed our offense once he took the pitch. And you can see what happens when a world-class player who can adapt to the players around him, unlike Olivier Giroud, really starts to make an impact. And the impact now is catastrophic for the rest of the league. So I'm taking Sonny, and I'm taking the St. Louis City 2, not call-up anymore, because he played so well that he earned a first-team contract in his last match, had a brace with an assist. And this is the scary part about this part of the season, Philly. He wears your number 80 on his back, but those are usually the guys that have come up through the ranks and are now a bit of an unknown. It's like when the Angels brought up K-Rod right before those playoffs, and then all of a sudden, all you saw was him 1v1 versus Barry Bonds in the World Series when it mattered. These young guys that come up where we don't have a lot of tape on them, where we're not used to their style of play, we don't know their intricacies. Well, the kid had 2 goals and an assist last time, and he might be just that little piece that St. Louis needs to continue this offensive streak. So I'm going to watch the young kid, Brendan McSorley, and Noda Sonny.
Angels? Playoffs? I know not of what you speak. Sadly, unless they get their ish together, we could say the same stupid thing about the Mets. But that's a whole nother podcast that we can be bitter about. Yeah, no question. Sonny is a very good choice, and I had a feeling that you would stick with him. Why wouldn't you? The guy's got 6 goals and 3 assists in his 7 matches. Already LAFC's second leading scorer. The hat trick against RSL. The chemistry with Denis Bouanga. 18 goals in the last 7. These guys are averaging around 3 goals a game. And as we reiterated on the last pod, we've had 4 straight games of 4 goals. Back-to-back in cases. So you'd have to go back to, May, I believe, for the last time we had 4. We haven't scored that many goals all season long. Then all of a sudden, Sonny shows up. But with the way that he's been playing and the kind of player that he is and the kind of teammate that he is, I'm pretty sure that it's still going to be Denis. Sonny's going to continue to feed Denis the Destroyer, his new best friend, for the simple fact that the chemistry is there. Denis has shown quite a capability of being able to net hat tricks, and at the same time, still in the conversation for the Golden Boot. Denis is really picked up, and I've never seen him happier, to be completely honest with you. Sans obviously lifting up the MLS Cup. Now, Denis, always my low-hanging fruit, and until he stops scoring, he's going to be my proven player to watch. For St. Louis, you talked about Leuven. Hartl is also another great player in the midfield, but the offense, to me, is still the big Brazilian João Klaus. Something that LAFC has struggled from time to time is defending the set piece. Well, at 6'3", João Klaus is a very formidable and sizable, I'll teach you a term in Romanian, atacant. And Scarf, I know how you bastardized the word earlier. We're family friendly, so I'm not going to say it. But as a forward, as an atacant at 6'3", he's pretty deadly. At the same time, he also leads St. Louis City in scoring and has been their leading scorer in quite some time. I think, obviously, if the defense can close the gaps on him and Kosi Tafari has the height to contend against him, I think we'll be okay. But João Klaus is that player, and Edward Leuven is the key to unlocking Klaus.
Philly, you reminded me, I actually zigged right before I went on and chose Brendan McSorley instead of Marcel the Model Hartel.
With his designer cologne arrogance.
Yes, there you go. The team leader in minutes with 8 goals and 5 assists in all competitions this season. Do not overlook Marcel Hartel. But that being said, Bam, we love you. We missed you too, bud.
First off, real quick, I got an email when I was in Melbourne getting a tour of Marvel Stadium. Obviously, I started picking up some some AFL gear, some Essendon Bombers gear, just because I was there. I do have to ask you this, being a part of the marketing list. I now know that Snoop Dogg is collaborating with the AFL to sell AFL merch. What Snoop Dogg and Aussie Rules Football have in common, I don't know, other than maybe they want to have some gin and juice later on. But Snoop and AFL, probably a winning combination. Enjoy the AFL. Folks, if you haven't seen highlights of Aussie Rules Football, it is the most beautiful, organized chaos I've ever seen in my life. And I think if I spent a little bit of time understanding it, that would probably be my actual favorite sport.
All right. So I have two keys to the match. And the first, I wanted to say finish the job, but I'm going to say run the gauntlet. We've played 4 matches now.
Is this American Gladiators?
Days. No, we've played 4 matches in 15 days. This has been quite the run by LAFC. And I said at the very beginning of this, 14 days ago now, that if LAFC wanted any shot at hosting home matches in the playoffs and really being considered an MLS Cup contender, that we needed all 12 points from these matches. Well, here we are, just 1 match away against the 13th place team in the West, a team that's only scored 39 goals all season. I'm sorry, but I think it is up to LAFC to finish the job. Mathematically, we are right there when it comes to being able to overtake Minnesota and San Diego if they falter just one time. Just one time. If either of those clubs falter, we are breathing right down their neck. So if we finish the job, if we run the gauntlet, pick up all 12 points from these 4 matches, now we start setting ourselves up, not just to host home matches, but imagine if we are able to somehow finagle a CONCACAF Champions Cup spot out of this late season run. So I think it's really important for us to run the gauntlet. I also don't think there's a single player on St. Louis City who can get behind us. I think this is the perfect match where LAFC can shore up that 5 in the back defense, where they can keep the ball out of the back of the net, where Ugo's not going to have to work as nearly as hard as he has been over these last couple of matches. He's made some incredible saves for us. This is a perfect opportunity for us to keep everything in front. So run the gauntlet, finish the job, keep everything in front, and it is a wrap for these 12 points.
Scarf loves to be very eloquent and very detailed with his keys to the game. I will not be. To me, I'm going to finish him up just as quickly as LAFC is going to burn him up in transition. Look, when they had Olaf Melberg, one of the big criticisms that he was getting from from St. Louis City sporting director is that he was drifting away from the style of play that St. Louis City wanted to engage in, which is attacking, being aggressive on the ball, being very press-oriented. No surprise that he gets ousted because they did none of that. And with David Critchley being familiar with St. Louis City, obviously with his time at the academy and City too, he's very much familiar with how the internal structure of the team has gone on in the past. And true to form, they have been a lot more aggressive. They have been doing their things, getting their lines pushed up high, playing as entertaining and quick attacking as you possibly can. But with that, if you make a mistake, you're going to get burned. So this isn't going to be a game in which LAFC is going to maintain the lion's share possession. That hasn't been the case for quite some time now. And I still think that's going to be the case against St. Louis. They're going to look to create that chaos, that pattern, that aggression, that press orientation. And you know what? They're going to get gobbled up and beat in transition. Son to Danny, boom. Or maybe even a long ball played out of the back from Nkosi Tafari because he's shown a keen awareness, a keen eye, and an ability to hit the wingers on the flanks. So to me, LAFC is going to burn them up in transition, just the way that they've burned up RSL on a couple of occasions and anybody else that they've stepped in front of since the arrival of Sonny. Transition is our game. Beatdowns are what's going to be the beatdown's going to be the same.
Yeah, look, I'm going to keep this one simple for my score prediction. 3-1 LAFC. I do unfortunately still think we give up a goal, but you look at the types of goals that we've given up in our last 2 matches, absolute bangers. Absolute bangers we've given up. The Gozo goal, which was that like half bicycle kind of scissor kick goal, which was unbelievable, and then that set piece goal. Look, sometimes you, as Philly likes to say, you tip your hat off to these guys. And I think that's what might happen in this one. Maybe we see a banger from Joao Klaus. He is definitely capable, but I don't think the banger matters. I actually think we go up quick. We go up big. We may even go into the half up 3-0. And then I'll say this, we may pull some guys out in this one. We may rest some guys as much as we can, and that might lead to a late goal. We've played 4 matches in 15 days. Some of these guys have a big international run coming up starting October 5th. I know Denis Bouanga is potentially going to miss 3 matches playing at international duty. So I think we make it 3-1. We go up early, and I think that's about it for St. Louis.
I do like the 3-1, although on the road, they're playing a bit better. The crowd's going to be a little more intense because this to St. Louis really is their MLS Cup. And then obviously you add Sonny coming in the mix. I think St. Louis City is actually going to play a much better game than we had anticipated. They're a team that can kind of score, but they're certainly a team that gets scored upon. 52 goals over the course of their entire season. And I do think that we're going to come out and win, although I think it's going to be just a little bit closer than a lot of people anticipate. I don't see us losing to St. Louis, and that's going to keep the unbeaten streak against this club alive. But 2-1 is my prediction. And to me, why not? Denny gets even closer to 100 goals. We need what, 3 more or 2 more? I'm forgetting. 3. All right. So the next time we see LAFC at home, Denny's going to hit 100. I'm calling for a brace against St. Louis.
Denny might miss our next home match with that international.
Oh, yeah. With Gabon, you're absolutely right. Okay, well, then I'm just going to still say he gets a brace.
I still think he gets to 100 before the end of the season. That's for sure. Look, I like what you're saying. I like what some of you in the chat are saying, where St. Louis City is going to play as low of a block as possible. St. Louis City, a lot of these guys playing for contracts, playing for more playing time. Sure, that's all well and good. I'm sure there were guys on Real Salt Lake that were really trying hard and playing for contracts too. And they had 90 minutes of tape on us before they played us again 4 days later and still got 4 scored upon them. This is not the LAFC of the first half of the season, folks. We set them up. We knock them down. I don't think someone's getting a hat trick, but we're putting up 3. I think it's going to be big. You guys are asking about guys like Andy Morin and Alexander Belutza. Prepare to see a lot of those guys coming up. I don't know if Morin's going to get called into Ireland. I don't think he is. No. But if he doesn't, prepare to see a lot of him. Prepare to see a lot of Belutza. It's going to be a lot of fun. Coog covered for you last time, Ruben. But Philly, Ruben's already playing us out. I'll give you the last word.
And it's kind of funny. And I was just going to ask, Ruben will throw and I love it. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. But we've rarely been done when he's actually added that in there. So either he's in a rush to get out of here, or he's just simply saying, defenders, shut up. Your time is done. I don't know. Either way, certainly appreciate it. And certainly appreciate all of you. It has been fun to be following this club. And again, we haven't lost since July 25th. We haven't lost on the road since April. These are good times. Getting hot at the right time. We've got quite the good reinforcements. And I do agree that we are going to see Belutza quite a bit because he signed on for the rest of this year with a club option for next year. So if there's anybody that's got to play for a contract, it's him. Andy Morin obviously showed an ability to connect with our speedy forwards up top. I think we're going to see a lot of him as well. It's just fun getting to learn these players, and looking forward to maybe seeing Belutza get an assist or even so a goal. It's my old man is a huge soccer fan. Has been, obviously, my love of the game stems from him. He's been watching LAFC because of me ever since day one. And despite the Bales, despite the Chiellinis, everybody else, I don't think I've ever heard or seen him as excited about an LAFC player as Belutza, mainly because my dad grew up loving this team right here. Steaua Bucharest, FCSB. is what Steaua Bucharest is. Do yourselves a favor if you want some entertainment. You're bored tonight. Go to YouTube. Look up Copa 90, the team with no name. You'll learn about my dad's favorite team growing up, and that's where Belutza came from. Other than that, I'm cashed. I'm done. It's been a long day. We got a game tomorrow. I'm knackered. We out.
Philly, to quote Ruben, shut up. Our time is done.